Breaking news, this just in. Michael Saylor has officially stepped down from his role as CEO of MicroStrategy, but he still plans on focusing on Bitcoin even more than before. We also have the authorities that have frozen Indian exchange WazirX due to suspected alleged money laundering. And we have major news with Blackrock that has now officially partnered with Coinbase. Let's dive into today's edition of the weekly news to look at the top stories of the past week in the crypto space. Before we get started, welcome to the channel. My name is Dirk. If you're not yet subscribed, click the subscribe button down below. Click that notification bell so you do get alerted of future updates. You can get on my email list, which is the first link in the description down below. And you can follow me on social media, Instagram and Twitter. The links are all in the description down below. Alright, so I think the biggest news of this past week has been that Michael Saylor, who has been such a big advocate of Bitcoin, and still is by the way, but he has now stepped down officially from his role as CEO of MicroStrategy. And you can see MicroStrategy has reported a $918 million impairment charge on their Bitcoin holdings in Q2. The software firm owns almost 130,000 Bitcoins worth approximately $3 billion, but they are currently sitting on a nasty loss as a result of Bitcoin's price dropping to where it has. So you can see over here, MicroStrategy announces the separation of chairman and CEO roles. Okay, so Michael Saylor is still with the company, but he is now no longer the CEO. And a lot of people are speculating on this. Was he forced to step down? Is there something going on? Does the board or do other people maybe not agree with his Bitcoin strategy and being so overly leveraged on Bitcoin? And Michael Saylor seems to say that none of that is the case. That is what I interpret from what he is saying. And basically, he's just going to continue his Bitcoin focused strategy as usual, just under a different role. So you can see that Mr. Saylor says, I believe that splitting the roles of chairman and CEO will enable us to better pursue our two corporate strategies of acquiring and holding Bitcoin and growing our enterprise analytics software business. So as his new role of executive chairman, he will be able to focus on their Bitcoin acquisition strategy and related Bitcoin advocacy initiatives, while Fong will be empowered as CEO to manage overall corporate operations, said Mr. Saylor. So overall, only time is going to tell if this was a really good strategy or not. Is MicroStrategy going to come out ahead? Are they going to make billions and billions of dollars if the price of Bitcoin does end up surging? Or is this going to be a failed strategy that may end up costing them billions of dollars if they are forced to sell at a loss? Talking about losses, crypto VC firm Hash confirms that they lost more than $3 billion in the Luna crash, which is obviously absolutely insane. Now, the Luna crash, that whole collapse, that has been covered in detail on this channel. At this point, that is already many weeks ago, but at this point, we are still continuing to see the fallout and the actual damage that has been created. So in this case, a single VC firm has lost more than $3 billion. So this was a huge contagion and effect on the whole global investing space in the crypto space, the VC space. Many firms, many companies, many individuals have been negatively affected, and that's obviously going to take time to recover and repair. But once that is all washed out, we can start getting ready for the next bull run. So the CEO Simon Sejun Kim has told Bloomberg that venture capital had bought 30 million Luna tokens, so the investment led to a loss of more than $3 billion following Luna's crash in May. Even so, Hash plans to raise a new investment fund in the first half of next year. In my opinion, it's probably not such a good idea to invest in a new fund if they blew up their old fund. Now, for some good news is that Voyager, which was also very negatively affected by the collapse of Luna 3 Arrows Capital, and they froze withdrawals for some time period where we didn't really know if the customers of Voyager were going to get any of their funds back. But for now, like I said, good news, the customers have granted access to $270 million in the latest bankruptcy hearing. So the customers of the insolvent crypto lender Voyager Digital reaped a minor win in court Thursday morning, with U.S. bankruptcy judge approving Voyager's motion to give customers back $270 million in cash held with the MCB Bank, according to the bank's representative. So hopefully for those people who are affected by this, they will at least get some of their funds back, and hopefully over time that is going to end up being even better for them. Now, in this past week, there was also a bit of a scare where it seemed like Solana, the blockchain, was actually getting hacked. Now, there were millions of dollars that were getting drained from wallets, and nobody really knew initially what was happening. It turns out it had nothing to do with the actual blockchain of Solana, but more with issues of certain wallets or certain Solana wallets that supported obviously holding the Sol tokens, but even with stablecoins that were running on a Solana network. So you can see when this came out initially on August 3rd, basically there were over 8,000 Solana wallets that have fallen victim to the ongoing hack, with more increasing by the minute. And obviously when this happens, it starts to spread on social media. Everybody gets really scared and nobody really knows what ends up happening. So basically it turns out also that Solana held on exchanges, centralized exchanges, ended up being completely okay. And Solana tokens that were held on hardware wallets such as a ledger were also completely fine. So I think the lesson of the story here is use a hardware wallet to secure your crypto holdings. If you're using just a browser-based wallet that is not secured with a hardware wallet, then you could end up having issues. Luckily, this problem wasn't as big as it was made out to be initially, and it is something that can be fixed. But of course, there is danger involved with using newer wallets, browser wallets, and wallets not secured by a hardware wallet. So please do yourself a favor, get a hardware wallet, get your coins on a hardware wallet, because it is still the most safe way to secure your cryptocurrency. Then there was also an issue about something called Nomad that got drained for over $150 million. Yes, it has been a pretty chaotic week, pretty crazy week, a lot of things happening. And this was labeled one of the most chaotic hacks that Web 3.0 has ever seen. So basically this thread goes through what happened. I'm not going to go through the thread in detail, but I will link to it in the description down below. If you want to dive into those details and really try and understand what happened, you are more than welcome to do so. But again, it turned out to be an issue with code, with smart contracts, and basically with permissions that were set incorrectly, and someone basically taking advantage of that and exploiting it. So you can see in this other Twitter thread, again I will link to it down below, says, I've spent some time working out what the hack is from the mobile phone. It is a simple Solidity bug. So Solidity is the smart contract language, the code for the Ethereum blockchain. It has nothing to do with the design of the bridge, the Nomad bridge. And again, you can go into detail and figure out what it is by clicking the link in the description down below. But again, it basically was just an issue with code, and this is still an ongoing thing with crypto because it is so new and so experimental, because there's so many different chains, so much different technology, so many different things being created all the time. There is still a lot of room for error, malicious or not malicious, simply just because it is such a new technology. A lot of mistakes can be made, or just even oversights, being tired, being lazy, forgetting about something, missing something. And then of course there are people all around the world continuously looking for exploits in all these new protocols and new code, because there is literally millions, tens of millions, even more than that, to be able to be stolen if people know what they're doing and they find something that they're able to exploit, as we've been seeing, over the months, over the years in the crypto space. So as always, be very careful with any new type of experimental DeFi or code or bridges or new chains or things like that haven't really been proven. The risk of something going wrong there, or of them being exploited, is obviously a lot higher. Then another really big piece of news is that Coinbase has been selected by Blackrock to provide Aladdin clients access to crypto trading and custody via Coinbase Prime. So basically, too lazy, didn't read. The TLDR is Coinbase and Blackrock are going to create new access points for institutional crypto adoption by connecting Coinbase Prime and Aladdin. And basically today marks an exciting step in our journey as we announced that Coinbase is partnering with Blackrock, the world's largest asset manager, to provide institutional clients of Aladdin, which is Blackrock's end-to-end investment management platform, with direct access to crypto, starting with Bitcoin through connectivity with Coinbase Prime. So this is a big step towards, again, institutional adoption of Bitcoin and maybe later other cryptocurrencies too. And obviously, this allows even more people to potentially integrate into Bitcoin through BlackRock. We're talking about banks, funds, all that kind of thing. So again, this adds more weight or more certainty to the fact that crypto is here to stay, and that it is likely going to get a lot bigger, in my opinion, over the coming years and for the remainder of this decade and even beyond that. Then we have a bit of an issue going on with the Indian exchange called WazirX, and India has frozen these assets of Binance-linked WazirX. Now basically what happened is that India's financial crime fighting agency said on Friday it has frozen the assets of WazirX, links to the world's largest digital currency exchange Binance, as part of its investigation into suspected violation of foreign exchange regulations. So we are going to end up seeing what is going to happen with that. The interesting thing is that the Binance CEO CZ says its firm never ended up buying WazirX, and the founder disagrees. So we're in a bit of a situation where the CEO of Binance CZ is saying they never bought it, but then the CEO of WazirX is saying, hey, so there's a bit of information going back and forth here on social media. We don't really know the details, so just be aware of that. If you have any funds in WazirX, if that's something that you used, be aware of that. And if you don't, well, then it's nothing to be concerned about. And finally, to wrap it up, again, huge money being raised still in the VC space every single week. You can see in these episodes that I'm making here, Arnold-backed VC firm Algae Ventures to launch a €100 million Web 3.0 fund. So Algae Ventures is the backer of tech giants like Airbnb, Netflix, and Slack. So this is not a small-time player, okay? They are set to launch a €100 million fund dedicated to investing in crypto startups. They are backed by the investment vehicle of Bernard Arnault, the controlling shareholder of luxury goods conglomerate LVMH. And finally, we have hardware wallet maker Ledger, who is in talks to raise an additional $100 million. This fresh funding round will give the firm a higher valuation than the $1.5 billion it commanded in June 2021. So again, as you can see, there is a lot happening in the crypto space every single week. I do make this update every Sunday, wherever possible. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel down below. Click the subscribe button, click the notification bell so you do get these future updates. And if you want to be sure to never miss an update, get on my email list so I can simply send you an email whenever I upload a new video to the channel. It is the first link in the description down below. Click that, enter your name and email, you get on the email list. So that is it for this week's edition of the weekly news. I hope you enjoyed that. Subscribe to the channel, smash the like button, click the thumbs up before you exit the video, and I will see you in the next video.